Good morning students. Today we are going to discuss 9th class 12th lesson Democratic and Nationalist Revolution in 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th centuries. Right? This will end the 17th, 18th, 19th century. See, in this lesson already we discussed the two sessions. In the first session we complete what is mean by the democratic and what is mean by the nationalist. What kind of the revolution leads towards the democratic and the scientific and the agriculture and the colonization, right? In second session already we discussed the bloodless revolution which took place in the England. What is mean by bloodless revolution? The bloodless revolution means the power transferred from the Republic England to the monarchy England, the monarch constitution without any shed of the blood and without the firing any bullet. So that's why we call bloodless revolution, or we call the glorious revolution, right? And already we discussed American independence, how American got the independence and what kind of the situation leads toward the American independence. And they made one slogan, no taxation without representation, right? No taxation without representation. It took from the king versus the George Washington, who is the leader of the Americans arm, right? And the American got independence with the help of the French, and finally they got independence the 4th July 1776. 4th July 1776. In this lesson we are going to discuss the French Revolution. What is the French Revolution? The French Revolution, see, in the French Revolution is related toward all over the ideology, this kind of the different ideology, this different perspective of the world. These are the main, we have the nowadays we are using left wing, right wing politics, all those things, right? Isn't it? So this took place from the French Revolution. Is all these ideologies come from the French Revolution. See, in the 1774 is the 16th Louis, 1774, 16th Louis became the king of the France, But when it came to the power, he observed the treasure was empty. The treasury was empty. See, when the treasury was empty, he couldn't run the Versailles, he couldn't run the courts, he couldn't run the government, and he couldn't run the army. Why? Because when you don't have the money to run all those things, then it's impossible to run the country, right? Impossible to run the country. Why? Because why the French treasure was empty? Because the French participated in the many wars. The French fought many wars against all over the world, especially against the England. Why? Because two colonized countries, two colonized power. One is the England and another is the French. When they want to colonize, they want to dominate each other in all over the world. In England, in India also, one French is supported to the one king and England supported to the another king. So that's why they lost the treasury. In also 1776, when America got independence with the help of the French, right? Help of the French. So that's why he wants to the tax. He wants to the tax and the people. Why? Because if you want to run the government, if you want to run the officials, if you want to run the courts, and if you want to run the Versailles, you have to lay the tax. What does it mean by Versailles? It is a palace. Versailles means it is a palace where they get the king and the queens, where they can live and runs all over the meetings, right? See, when it comes to the, he wants to lay the tax, but among them the French is divided in the economically and the sociologically condition. What are the conditions? The French divided the three parts. One is the first state, second state, and the third state. As a sociologically, the first state comes under the clergy peoples. The second state comes under the nobility, and the third state. When it comes to the third state, among the third state again divide the three parts, which are the richest. Those are the rich among the third state. Those are middle class people in the third state. Those are the very poor people in the third state. Where are they? What are they? The big businessmen, merchants, and the court officials and the lawyers. These are comes under the third state but they are the better position. They are the better position compared to two states. These two states. Second one, the peasants and the artisans. What does it mean by peasants? Peasants means the farmers. Peasant means the farmer. Artisans means the work, the people which have the group of the people which have to do the certain work. This is called the artisan. In India, we have also the artisans. Like in Telugu, we can say the Kammari Vallu, Sakallu, right? This kind, everything we have this kind of the caste system, right? This kind of are the artisans. When it comes to the last and the third, these are the small peasants. These are the poor fellows. Those who doesn't have the landless labor, they have to work in the labor. Those who are the servants. These are the poor people. These are the poor people. So sociologically, the French divided into three states. One the clergy, nobility, and the third state when it comes to the all businessmen, merchants, court officials, lawyers, peasants, artisans, landless labor, servants, and the small peasants. All those things. The whose we come from the clergy. The clergy means the people. Those who are the people, the head of the religions. Head of the religion. We call the head of the religion. Those who are the popes. We have in the French, we have the Christianity. These are the popes. These are the churches. Those who are the head of the religions. These people comes under in the clergy. Comes under in the clergy. In the nobility means those who are the aristocratic. Those who are the bureaucrats. Those who are the aristocrats and the bureaucrats comes under the nobility. What does it mean by aristocrats? Aristocrats means the people. Those who are the people, the relations of king or queen. Those who are the people, the family members, those are the relations, those are the family members. The family members of the king or the queen is called the aristocrats. We have now all those Raja. We can say the movie of the Bahubali, the Rana, Ballala Deva, this all Maha, Shivagami, this all are the comes under the Raja Vamsasulu. We call Raja Vamsasulu. Those we call the king's family members and the relations becomes the aristocrats. The bureaucratic means the government officials. In the bureaucrats we call in India nowadays IAS and IPS, IFS, right? IRS, all these kind of people we have. Those are the higher officials which are the implementing the law. We call the bureaucratic. These two peoples comes under the nobility. And the third state we know everything, businessman, merchants, all those things. But when this kind of the people we have, but the most of the people, 90% of the people in the French, they are dependent on the land. They are doing agriculture. But those are 90% people, they dependent on the agriculture in the land. But the land don't have the kind of the 90% people. Why? Because most of the 60% of the land occupied, 60% land is under control by the clergy people. 60% of land under control by the clergy people. We call the church people. So this kind of the lands we have. And the French, the Louis also wanted to collect the taxes. See, but when we have how many taxes were there is the economic condition. See, the clergy people collect the taxes from the things. We call those who are the clergy people, those who are this kind of the third state people paying taxes to the clergy. In the first state, we call the things. We call the tax. And those who are the collecting the tax from the nobility, we call the tithes. These kind of those third state people paying the taxes to the nobility, we call the tithes. And those third state people paying the taxes to the clergy, we call the tax. And also, this kind of the third state people has to do work. Do work to this kind of two states. We have the first state and second state. We have to do the work. These are the servants. These are these people. They have to do these two clergy and the nobility. We call the feudal system. They didn't get paid. They didn't get any kind of the pay, but they has to be work within the lands of which are the nobility and the clergy. We have to work in these houses. They have to serve to these two, first state and the second state. So the third state people already paying the taxes to the state, right? In this third state people, we have to pay the tax to the nobility. And also third state people has to do the work. We have the feudal system. See, all kind of the response, all kind of the good things were the only the consuming these two clergy, first state people and the second state people, and only the taxes and all those things were placed to the only the third state people, only the third state people, right? In this third state people also, the newly they laid the taxes on the tobacco and the salt, the tobacco and the salt. Who will use this kind of the people will use? So when this kind of the people will use, they get the taxes from the first state and they the taxes from the second state, and they have to do the feudal system. The feudal system without paying anything, they have to deserve, and among them again they let the taxes, they paying the taxes to the salt and the tobacco, which are the necessities, which are the necessary of these people. So when this comes, all those things will happen to the only third state people. This happen to the only third state people. Then when it comes to the all these things and the consequences, all this kind of the problem, then this kind of third state people started a revolution against the those who are the first state and the second state. They started revolution against the first state and the second. So that's why these are the reasons for the French Revolution, the basic how the French Revolution started being. When it dominant comes from the is very high. When the dominant is very high, then automatically comes anger to these people. When this anger turns towards the revolution, right? This is the how the French Revolution was started, and what are the consequences were faced, and finally what is the end of the French Revolution. Did the French become a republic or not? We can discuss in the next session, right? Thank you.